Hello, good day to you. It's me, Andy, and Andy Wright Travel News. It seems like I'm harping on the same old story every week and every video. However, it's quite important to keep up with the information because there are a lot of people who still, even after all this time, still don't believe it. And we're going to try and do our best to try and convince you that you need to do some research, at least the very minimum, do some research on it, because you're putting your life at risk if you're going to be travelling anywhere on an aeroplane and you've had, or you're considering, the double jab. Pilots here, the BA incident this last week, when 4 people died, and the BA obviously saying that there's no correlation between the two. However, it's very rare for a pilot to die. They generally are very fit and healthy, and they have to undergo at least quarterly, if not monthly, tests on their health. So they are highly unlikely to just drop dead. I mean, it does happen, yes, it does happen. However, 4 in 1 week, bit suspicious. And of course, they all have one thing in common: they were jabbed. Okay, so the conspiracy theories are out there, but this is fact. Whatever you believe about them, I don't really care. I won't be having it, and if you've had it, then good luck to you. I think you made a mistake that you might regret. And certainly if you're doing it just to travel, then you have made a big mistake. And of course this story is quite frightening in the fact that mainstream media, especially in the UK, are not reporting this, or if they do, they gloss over it.
Well, Sue, under normal conditions, and I mean in the absence of any vaccine or any of these injections, there's always a risk of developing a blood clot, particularly in your legs. When you fly long haul flights, it's partly because you have prolonged periods of inactivity. The cabin in a jet, of course, is pressurized, which slows your circulation, creates a lower limb. You can see edema, swelling, and in addition to that, if you're inactive, your knees are bent. You're compressing your popliteal vein, which is the large vein behind your knee. And this is generally the low oxygen and the low humidity causes your blood to concentrate. But now we're adding to that these spike proteins that your body's being forced to make if you do take one of these jabs. And these spike proteins actually activate platelets, and they damage our platelets, which are our blood clotting mechanism, causing a combination of bleeding and clots. These spikes, as I've said before, are bioactive. What happens with these clots is that they leave eventually, when you do start to move, they leave your limbs and they go through the rest of your body, and they get stuck in your lungs. You have a pulmonary embolism. You can instantly die. Or if they go to your heart, that's a heart attack. Or if they go to your brain. Now, I'm asking the question, if these airlines are mandating the vaccination injections to their pilots and flight attendants, what's going to happen if those events occur? Pilots sit for long periods of time. They don't get to jump up and run around the plane or walk around as we do as passengers, increasing their risk even more. So you'll see that the photos of blood clots starting in the leg. I want to go back to this. Now you understand the basic problem. As you mentioned, British Airways is mandating the shots for all of their employees. And when you think about 4 pilots dying in a week, let's remember that airline pilots, commercial airline pilots, are some of the healthiest people, because they're scrutinized literally monthly to some degree, and certainly every quarter on their health, their well-being, their blood tests, their mental acuity. So thinking about the fact that there are approximately 3,600 vaccinated pilots right now and 4 deaths, which is a death rate of about 1 out of 1,000. 1 death is bad enough, and 2 in 1 week, you don't even see a commercial pilot death in 1 death in a year. But now we have 4 in 1 week. And all of these pilots, we know from other sources, were given the injections. There are reports coming in right now of 3 Delta pilots in the United States that died shortly after getting the injection. But nobody's been allowed to examine the medical records. And I'm still searching for, the source documentation on that. So I'll keep you posted on that. There's also a report just a few days ago of a cargo pilot in the United States that passed out on the in Canada, that passed out on the runway, and he had to be removed via a stretcher from that plane. And they said the flight was rescheduled. Thank God. So I began doing some digging and checking with some sources. I have a breaking report. A document was shared with me that's an internal document. It's a document that communicates between the United Master Executive Council and the Airline Pilots Association International, which is based in McLean, Virginia. And I want to share with the audience that basically what's happening, and we'll speak to this document. United Airlines the union actually got the company to agree to pay pilots to get the injection. There was some rush to get them all injected by June 1st. And if they were injected by June 1st, they got the highest amount of extra pay. I believe it was something like 13 hours of pay, which could amount, according to some of my airline pilot sources, to about $2,000 if they got the shot done. This source said to me, quote, "The union actually got the company to agree to pay pilots to get the shot. If you got it done by June 1st, it was a certain amount of money. After that date, the amount goes down over time to where if you wait too long, you get $0 when you get the injection." So a lot of pilots, this is again the quote continuing, a lot of pilots did it because they think they're going to be required to do it anyway at some point in the future, plus they got some extra pocket money. Here's another quote from a pilot who is with United currently flying. "Most of the guys I know have received the shot for various reasons, some of which are it's forced on them indirectly because of the type of flying they do." I didn't qualify that with him, so I'm not sure what he meant. "If you are an international pilot, the airlines are telling pilots if you don't get the shot, most likely in the future, most of the countries internationally will not allow you to enter their country." And this pilot said, "I don't know any country yet outside of the United States that is actually doing this." So I just find this so frightening, Stu, because we're at the same time, these airlines, as you mentioned earlier, are forcing not only their pilots, but we also have a CNBC report that I've provided to your producers that show that the flight attendants are being incentivized. Let me read you very briefly a few lines from this document called The Brief, this internal document that was shared with the Airline Pilots Association International.
A blood clot is going to render somebody immediately unconscious. I know that there are 2 qualified pilots in the cockpit, but I mean, 4 in a week, 4 pilots dead in a week, the mainstream media not saying a word about this, other than the fact that they will briefly touch on it and then sweep the whole thing under the rug by saying, British Airways has said that this has nothing to do with the vaccine. That, by the way, they are mandating. Aside from the word being absent, the word mandate is not there. But how is this not coercive? How is this not a mandate? You're going to lose your pay. You're going to lose your incentives. You're not going to be able to travel. Your flight logs will be canceled. And then, by the way, when we do mandate it, you're going to be fired. These few people are responsible for hundreds of thousands or more lives every single day as people travel around this country. These handful of people, they're flying in 35,000 foot, 450 mile an hour death traps is what they're doing. These people are ticking time bombs.
So if you're still there after all that, then thank you for watching. You can watch the rest of this video on ODYSEE.com and Wright Travel. And don't forget to subscribe.